Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are good and had a good day. You know, the sun just comes out and makes everybody so much happier, doesn't it? It really makes a difference when when the sun is out. So yeah, good to see you all. Hi, Doug. Hi, Daniel. Gabriella, good to see you. And yeah, Amit, people, I can't see you all, but good to. I know you're there, so yeah, there's Amit just putting his camera on, so thank you. Hi, Doug, you got your camera on. Doug, we had a fantastic day on Saturday. Daniel was with us. We did promote your property, and Daniel's also promoting it as well. So hopefully we'll get something from it very, very soon. So yeah. And I think our friend Ching, who's a mortgage broker, he's also got the details of that property that he can put out to his clients as well, which really, really helps to get the network and promoting the property, as I'm sure Amit can as well, because he's got a big network of people as well. So, so yeah, all good. So this evening, you know, it's an open forum to discuss anything that people want to discuss, because I think a lot of the time there are lots of trainings online and there's lots of trainings in the room, but this is more of a mastermind where we can actually discuss things. So we're open for suggestions in terms of topics or any specific questions that people have got. Last month was fantastic because they were like people asking questions around finance, which again is brilliant, and we have some really great experts. Amit's here, Singh is here as well, to sort of talk about finances if that's the case, or if you want to talk about the general market, any problems that you're experiencing at the moment, happy to discuss those and see what we could do. So anybody would like to start off with anything that they'd like to ask or discuss? Just feel to unmute yourself and ask a question, or as I say, a topic that you'd like to discuss. Gabriella's moving a hand there. I don't know if she's going to go for a mic there or.
Sanil, how could you guess that I was trying to find the button? Nice to see you, actually.
And you, how you been?
Yeah, I've just come back from Sweden after spending 5 days there visiting my stepfather. And interestingly, Sweden has got a huge, well, they're going to have a huge problem just like us here. 2/3 of mortgage owners are coming off their fixed rate this year. And with inflation of 10.6 and the interest rate not as high as us presently, but still rising. And then last year, house prices dropped by 14%, quite dramatically overnight. So it's not us who are suffering. Over in the Nordic countries, they've got a huge problem. But that's not the question, Sunil. Now, I know with non-construction properties, it is difficult potentially to get mortgages, but how difficult is it? You know, because every so often I do come across, you know, a non-construction. I have shied away. I have stayed away purely because of the, you know, the difficulties. Is it still difficult to get a mortgage on them?
Yes. Are you near Bristol? Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm in Bristol. I just popped over to Cleveland, which is down the road by 25 minutes. Looked at a property, and yeah, it's a non-construction. As said, I have never bought one purely because of the mortgage situation. It's in a cul-de-sac, so the properties around there are non-construction. I spoke to one agency yesterday because one of the properties there has sold. However, I think about 2 potential buyers. It has fallen through 2 or 3 times for that particular reason.
Do you know what it's constructed of at the moment? As in, because I mean, we have townhouses. I'm not sure if I've lost you there, but we have.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So in this area, there are a number of townhouses, which are 3-story townhouses. And in one particular road, there must be 100 townhouses. And we have a number on that road which are mortgaged with different lenders, and they have been with different lenders over time. So I was with Paragon for a time, then it was another property was with Birmingham and Midshires. We're with Lambay at the moment. And so a number of different lenders have lent on those properties, and they have 100% flat roof, and the structure is not brick, so it's not solidly as it would be today or normal construction. Now, in that situation, we've tried to sell a property for a landlord, and it's fallen through twice because of the exact reason you're saying, Gabriella, that it's saying it's non-construction. Now, to my mind, I think to myself, well, how are all the other properties in the area mortgaged? Because they must be mortgaged either as owner-occupiers or buy-to-lets. But yeah, it's become more difficult. So the property was on at 240. It went down to 220, and it's 3 bedrooms and with a garage and a driveway. And the landlord has then decided to sell it at 180 in an auction. So we'll have to see what happens in that situation if it goes through and it goes to completion, because yes, they can exchange, but has it gone to completion? But I believe there must be lenders out there, and Amit's here, I think, and Singh is here, and maybe they could jump in and say, or any other mortgage brokers that are here, they could jump in and give their view on, is there a specific market? And I'm sure there is, and they would then charge accordingly. But I'm getting the feeling that the reason it's moved, or they've moved their goalposts, is because of energy performance certificates, energy ratings, and all of those things, that property is not as desirable, where from an investor point of view, they were lower value than normal construction, but very big houses with a garden, with a driveway and a garage. So for a value for money point of view and location, those houses are fantastic. And as I say, I'm at a loss to understand if all 100 houses, I'm sure 99% of them would be mortgaged, and there may be 1 or 2 that are not, but there must be lending on there. Doug, you have a very large portfolio. Have you come across non-construction? Do you have any, or would you steer clear of them?
Non-standard construction. There are various types of non-standard construction. Back in the 50s, the local authorities built a lot of properties single skin. Those properties are repairable by licensed construction companies. So it depends what you're talking about in terms of non-standard construction. But my question would be, why would you buy non-standard construction that you're unable to get a mortgage on?
No, what it is, it's a property going into auction, and it wasn't until I actually got there that I saw it. So so because it wasn't in the legal pack, clearly. And
the first rule of buying property, the first rule of property acquisition is know your exit. If you're going to get into something, you need to know how you're going to get out. And I would say that buying a property that has non-standard construction that is difficult or impossible to mortgage, the possibility of you ever getting rid of that property is remote. That's why a lender won't lend on it, because it doesn't offer good security. So I would say first rule is in property acquisition, know your exit. And in this particular case, the exit is very much unknown. I would stand clear of anything
Yeah.
that would frighten me to buy something, even if you could find a backstreet lender who might just possibly lend you at a ridiculously high rate of maybe 10%. What happens when the term of the mortgage expires? Who's going to lend you then, and who's going to buy it from you eventually?
No, that's fair comments all around. No, I mean, as soon as I saw it was a non-construction property, I decided to leave it. But it's just interesting just to see, you know, to date, 2023, what the views are on mortgage lenders in this particular area. As said, you know, from the outset, I've always stayed away from them, but it was, I just thought I'd just ask that question, see if anything has improved or, you know, gone forward or not.
No, I think, Gabrielle, it's an excellent question. It's, I think, Doug's view is, yes, stay clear, but it's potentially finding out what the construction is. Because it's again, I think it's, from the information you're saying, is in an auction for a reason, you know, and somebody will buy it. I have a non-construction where it's a steel frame, and yes, it was a local authority that built it. And then I also have townhouses, which are, yeah, then there is a single skin. But can we, as I said, it represented great value for money. Looking back on it over the years, they haven't gone up in value to the same growth rate as have normal construction properties. That could be because it's on 3 stories and there's a lot of stairs that people don't really want. But they, you know, so did you know the construction of it at the moment?
No, it's rendered from the outside. But again, it was an elderly lady who lived there, died a couple of years ago, no relatives. So, yeah, it's been thrown into the auction. And just popped over there just because it's only around the corner from where I live. So I thought it'd be a kind of nice trip and have an ice cream at the same time. But no, it's just a question I thought I'd ask, you know, if anything has moved on. So, yeah. I'm going to put myself on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I think, Gabriella, thank you. And I think things have moved on, but not from the positive point of view, because I think they've moved on and it's got more difficult because mortgage lenders are more particular in terms of, yeah, you know, the EPCs. Is it standard construction? As I say, on the townhouses that we were trying to sell, it was a good location. It'd always been rented. Good rentals. It's near an industrial estate, so people could walk from the property to work. And he's taken a £40,000 drop because, yeah, he needs to sell. And again, it didn't sell on the open market, or twice it did, and the 2 different mortgage companies had offered or went for valuation, and then it didn't get to conclusion. So I think that, yeah, but previously, in previous years, those properties have sold on that road without issue. So it has changed, definitely.
Sorry, can I just add? Good evening, everyone. So non-standard.
I mean, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
because I know who you are. I know your voice. So
sorry, everyone. I'm
That's
Amit.
okay.
I'm Amit from Trinity Finance Mortgage Advisor. Yeah, so like as Doug and Sunil have said, you know, non-standard construction properties, they are difficult to mortgage. They can be mortgaged. However, ultimately, the lender is directed and guided by the valuer. So when the valuer goes out to assess the property, they will deem whether that property is going to be adequate security for the lender. So whatever the valuer reports back to the lender, even if it's within policy, the valuer may say, sorry, this is not a mortgageable property purely because of the defect or the underlying problem with the property. So, you know, like Doug said, if you're buying a property at auction, crucially, the most important question to answer from the beginning is what is going to be your exit? Are you going to remortgage onto a term product, or are you going to flip the property, you know, add value and sell it? But
Yeah, sure. No. I mean, I had my exit already in mind before finding out it was a non-construction property. So that's it. Just thought I posed that question.
No, and I think, Gabriella,
So
as I said, it's good that you did, because it's got us going as well, and it's great because if somebody's looking at
exactly.
it, yeah, no, somebody's looking at it, and I appreciate you, sort of jumping in there. So that's great. If somebody's looking at a non-construction property, again, it's then knowing that, oh yes, it looks good, but what is the real issue? What is the real issue, or why is it in auction and things like that? But no, it's brilliant, and let us know how, or if you're monitoring it, how it goes. Maybe somebody will buy it, and did it go at the guide price or below the guide, or etc. Because it's certainly a probate, so there may be an opportunity there to do something with it. So
yeah, I mean, it's quite problematic in the London area for non-standard construction properties, because a lot of the high-rise tower blocks in inner London, where people are looking to purchase their property under the right to buy scheme, it's very difficult for them to get a mortgage, even though they want to buy their own, the house that they're living in from the council.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Emmett. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think, Imran, you are from central London, aren't you? So I don't know if you are there or able to unmute and share your experiences in that respect, if you've had any non-construction. No, okay. Anybody else sort of considered non-construction buildings as part of their portfolio, or ever bought or been put up by them?
I would say if the lender doesn't believe that it offers good security for lending purposes, I would question the reason why. Why would you want to buy it? You're going to buy it, how are you going to sell it? Eventually, you're responsible for it for the rest of your life, unless you can sell it or refinance it. If you can't, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. So in your experience, Doug, and those of you who don't know Doug, he's got a very large portfolio, been in business many, many years. What was your core business, as in how many bedrooms, what sort of property, what sort of area? Did you have a strategy of what you were looking at, or?
Yeah. My strategy was not to look for property like everybody else is doing. Everybody's looking for a property that they can do a deal on, either buy below market value or add some value by being a builder. My strategy is not to look for property, but look for people, because we're in a people business. Property is the product that we're in, but it's not the business that we're in, it's people. So from my point of view, I look for people who are motivated for various reasons. In the main, it's financial. So if you can find somebody who's motivated, it's a case of finding what the motivation is. The motivation normally is creating some form of pain for the property owner. My job is to find out what's the pain, what's the motivation, find a solution to solve your problem, and by solving the problem, create a win-win situation whereby I may obtain the equity in your property, or may be able to help you away from the problems that you have. That's how I built my portfolio, by looking for motivated sellers, not looking for property. Subsequently, I've ended up with a whole raft of different types of property all over the country. and never choose where I'm buying or what I'm buying, because you don't know what the motivated seller is going to bring to you.
That's absolutely amazing, Doug. And I don't say that lightly. As you know, I've been in business many years, but we always say we're in a property business. But people, so, you know, it's a people business. And you sort of really brought that home for me, that you're not looking for properties. You're looking for motivated sellers and then trying to help them. Yeah, which is a real mind shift in terms of everybody's out looking for, on Rightmove, Zipler, going, oh yeah, can we find a 2-bedroom? Can we find a 3-bedroom? Can we find this? Can we convert that? And I suppose if we just go out there and help enough people with their property problems, then we'll find a portfolio at great value. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues, is that people go to networking meetings similar to this one, and in the main, people talk about being a builder. In other words, buy a property, put your hard hat on and your high-vis jacket and add some value. In other words, become a builder or employ a builder,
Yes.
and pay all the costs of his labour and the materials.
Yeah.
But there are many other different ways of adding value. And from my point of view, the way to add value is when you purchase, not after you've purchased. If there's an opportunity to add value after purchase, then of course you would take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But the way that I would add value to a property is by adding value to somebody's life. So find a motivated seller who is experiencing some form of pain, find a solution to take away their problem. And in return for that, what normally happens is you end up with a set of keys or some of their equity, in many different fashions, many different ways of dressing that up.
Yeah.
So I'm never on one of the portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, or whatever. I'm never really looking for a building opportunity. I'm only ever talking to people about what I do, in the hope that, you know, somebody comes to me with a problem that I can solve for them. You know, stopping repossessions is a good point, whereby with the market that we're in right now, there are a lot of people in the repossession process. And the last thing people want, particularly, you know, young families, is to appear in court with a repossession order around their necks. If they only knew somebody that could stop that process in its tracks, to stop the bailiff from knocking on the door and kicking them out on the street and making them homeless.
Yeah.
If they only knew somebody that could do that for them, they would do almost anything. So it's just a case of educating yourself and knowing how to create those opportunities.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Doug. You know, most people, including myself, look to add value to the property, and that's why we brought properties and say, oh yes, let me do this, let me put the bathroom in, let me put the driveway in, or an extension, or the windows, add value to the property. And honestly, I'm like, you know, add value to other people's lives. Yeah, what a way to live in and to touch humanity. So fantastic. Let me come back to you, Doug. Honestly, that's fantastic. I'm going to go to Daniel because he's got his hand up. But if you just joined us, welcome. And, you know, it's open forums to ask questions or to contribute or to just gain knowledge, etc. Good evening, Louise. Good to see you there. I saw you coming in. Imran, I hope you're good. I know you couldn't unmic, but if you do, I can unmic later, then please feel free to do so. Robbie's here as well, Rob Baker. He's the good estate agent based in the southeast. He runs franchises for estate agents as well. So real good guy there. So yeah, lots of people with different knowledge and etc. So let me go to Daniel first. Daniel, how are you doing? you want to unmute yourself and contribute to the conversation? Or
Hi, Sunil. Hi, everyone.
how you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Long time no see.
Yeah, it was only the other day, wasn't it? Yeah, quick question. Obviously, there are ways to, the times we're going in, and as Doug has alluded to, and has built his portfolio over those certain situations. For times that is not possible, of course, like there's a couple of people I'm speaking to at the moment, potentially there could be a possibility of going down that route. Another way, that they've got quite a heavy bridge on the back, so it's not going to be possible. So my question is, I'm not sure if anybody here would be able to answer that, but rather than just purchasing on a bridge, so let's say there's this particular property at the moment, this guy's a bit over his head at the moment in regards to where he's at. He pretty much done a refurb and sales fallen through a couple of times. It's got quite a substantial bridge per calendar month, and there could be something there. So my question is, obviously I can buy it cash and then I can refinance doing that, but I was wondering if there are new lenders coming to the market and if there's going to be any products coming out soon, which essentially, as you're not adding any value and you're buying it below market value, of course they would want to lend based upon the 75% loan to value of the purchase price rather than the actual real value. So is there anybody here which knows of a product where we can circumvent the bridge entirely and go onto a product which is based upon the market value instead?
I mean, did you want to come back in again, or did you want to come back in if you're a mortgage broker or anybody else that's got specific advice on, are there mortgage products out there? I think, Daniel, that is your question, is that correct?
Yeah, based upon the actual value of the property rather than the purchase, because if you're going to be buying it at quite substantially below the market value for those particular reasons, it's other than being a bit drawn out, if you're going to have it on a bridge, obviously there's interest there, or if you've got your own, then that's fine. But yeah, just trying to think of streamlining it all, and if there are a product out there, then of course it's going to help everybody and essentially build the portfolio a lot quicker.
Sure. Okay, so lenders would obviously want you to, if you bought a property on a bridge and then you're looking to refinance, they'd ultimately want to see it where and how you've added value to that property. And then obviously they'll let you remortgage on the open market value rather than the purchase price. So, I'm not aware of any product at the moment that would, enable you to do what you want to do in terms of refinance at the open market value as opposed to the purchase price.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, appreciate that. Daniel, what's your overall aim? To hold it, to sell it? Well, when you've acquired it, what's your overall aim?
If the rent stacks, it would be always to keep and add to the portfolio. I believe in holding property as as you do.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Doug, did you want to come in? Or
Yeah, sorry, I'm just working out how to put my hand up. I can't see the controls for that.
Let me just go through that. At the bottom of the screen, it says reactions. So there you can click
reactions.
on it.
Right, I've got it.
It's got a smiley face with a little thing. So the big button is raise your hand. Earlier on when you were talking, I was able to sort of show a heart because I really felt what you were saying. Brilliant. There you go. You've done it.
I'm getting dug into the 21st century. I've got them a digital card. So
yeah, no,
I'm going to get them set up.
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
There's thumbs up and things like that. So.
I've got a suggestion for that situation. It depends on your purchase price. How much below market value are you?
Well, I wouldn't look at anything, unless it was 25%, because I wouldn't want to leave anything in it.
So the particular deal that you're talking about, you haven't got an agreement yet?
Not an agreement, but I've been speaking figures. I know what is into it and what is bridges, monthly, etc. So that in regards to ASA, power of attorney, that type of thing. I don't think it will work in this instance, but there may be some way of getting creative. But otherwise, then, you know, that's why my question came about. If there was such a product where I just wouldn't need to mess around putting the cash in myself and then going through that process.
Well, I'll share something this evening, which I don't normally share, to be honest with you. Sunil was very kindly invited me to speak at his next event, whereby I was going to share some of this information, and I'll share it with you this evening, the principle behind buying a property without putting any of your own money in. But you do need sufficient discount, and of course, providing somebody with money very quickly usually brings with it some form of discount. So the principle behind it is that if you take a value of 100, of course, you can't buy anything for 100,000 these days in the southeast, but if you multiply that up, it's the same thing. So take the value of 100. We know in principle that a lender will give us 75%, providing the stress test works. So therefore, we need to find 25% in order for us to find 100. Supposing we was to take this idea of 100, the bank gives us 75. Supposing the seller was to give us 25. So the bank gives us 75, the seller gives us 25. We've now got 100 to purchase the property. But we still got to pay the fees. We still got to pay stamp duty and legal fees. So we're still putting our own money in the deal. You take it one stage further, take this, the example of 100. We know the bank will give us 75. Supposing the seller would give us 30. We've now got 105. So if you calculate that, how much you're going to walk away with? Well, in fact, you're going to walk away with 5,000 or 5% if you're multiplying up. 5% will pay your fees, therefore no money in, no money down. But in order to make that work, you need a motivated seller who's prepared to give you 30%. And if you've got a motivated seller who's in pain with their bridging finance, providing there's enough equity in the property, if you just offer 70% of its value, Daniel, you already know how to do this because I've told you about it a number of times. So it's a very, very simple process. You just need a little bit of knowledge to complete it. Thank you for spending your time listening. I'm just going to turn myself off.
I think we're all intrigued now of what you told Daniel. So Dan's eyes are going, well, what was the information that you shared with him? Maybe Daniel, you can enlighten us on what the information that the master shared with you.
I think maybe leave you on the cliffhanger and say you have to come across to his event then. But
good answer. So we're trying to. I was speaking to Dan's here, who organises the events, and we're just going to try and get dates with Doug because he can't do the normal dates that we have. So we're going to try and arrange the dates, and then we'll publicise that. So Dan will give you a buzz tomorrow, and we'll get the dates sorted out. So
cool.
Yeah. But no, sounds intriguing that if you have more and Daniel, you're able to do that, then that's great. Next question. There is a question in the chat from Paul. Good evening, Paul. Great to see you here. How do you find motivated sellers? Anybody want to come in on that one, or how are people finding motivated sellers at the moment?
I can give my 2 pennies worth if everyone else has.
Yeah.
So obviously my background being IT, I did quite a bit of marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, channels, this and other marketing wise. I'm just about finishing up now a website and also a marketing campaign where essentially we'll be marketing directly to the vendors, combined with local campaigns in the area. So essentially, rather than having to go through their agents and, you know, scouring through Rightmove, etc., at the times we're going through, essentially, you know, you put the procedures in place where they can see you're there, and you know, if there's a way you can help them, then they're going to be coming straight to you.
Yeah, perfect. Doug, did you want to come in on that, or Louise? So I know, Louise, you do a lot with direct to vendor, don't you?
Actually, I'm not direct to vendor. Actually, all of our deals come through estate agents. So I was going to say completely the opposite to what Daniel's just said. I've had great success getting deals from estate agents, and that's just building relationships with them over time. So I've got to the point now, and a couple of the agents in my area, I'm literally the first on the list to call when deals come through, and a lot of my deals have come back to me. So they might be deals that I've viewed and offered on, and then they've sold with somebody else, and then for whatever reason they've fallen through. So the property showing as sold on Rightmove, but I've got the agent phoning me up saying, look, actually this has come back to the market, the vendor's more motivated now, will you come and have a look? And you have to act really quickly, otherwise it will go, you know, back on the market. But I've had that scenario a lot recently where we've basically been given first refusal once it's come back to the market. So we've got some cracking deals that way. And I'm very I'm a big fan of finding deals through estate agents, because you can really, as I say, it does take time. It takes time and effort to build those relationships, and you have to do as you say. There's no point, you know, if you just offering on something that you're just taking a chance at, if you have that accepted, you've got to go all out to buy that property, otherwise they'll never want to work with you again. So don't just be putting offers out, you know, willy-nilly and not being serious. But certainly we've got some great deals from estate agents over the years.
If I could just add to that, I get stuff that come my way too from obviously relationships, a bit like what you have, and you have mentioned yourself. However, not all of the deals which come my way would be of interest to me. So it all depends really if they really know you and really know exactly what you want, and then you can pull the trigger. Otherwise, you know, they could be, you know, I've had a few people call me, say this one's fallen out of bed and it's I'm not interested at all. And, you know, you get a few of them, and obviously you build up rapport and you get that, and you probably get to a stage where if they're sending you stuff which isn't of interest, then, you know, maybe their motivation to contact you in future may go down because they don't fully understand what you want. I think maybe it's swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I think it's just being clear with them from the offset. So the couple of agents that I've worked with, and I've bought property from them in the past, know exactly what we're looking for, and being really clear with them what you're looking for, so you don't get that scenario, because there's no point rushing off to look at a one-bed leasehold flat if that's not your what you're looking for. So I'm really clear with estate agents. We want property that we can turn into HMOs, and we want freehold blocks of flats. And it's really clear criteria. I mean, they don't always get it right, don't get me wrong. Some of the floor plans for us have to work quite, we're quite specific of what will work in our area. But again, I have lots of conversations with people that are after, we have lots of people that speak to me that are after property, and I can then sort of pass their details on as well. So I don't actively deal source. I used to do a lot of that years ago, but yeah, it's just being clear, I think, from the offset with what you want, so that you don't have that time wasting with them.
I suppose it all depends on the agents too, because a lot of agents, you know, send information your way, you know, when you're speaking to them, and, you know, you kind of describe exactly what you want. I've got a flat such and such, this and other, and you quickly, you know, speak to them and quickly identify, by the time, you know, you've purchased it and put money in, then there's no room. So I suppose maybe having a competent estate agent with the same mindset as, you know, investors like ourselves, which get it. Whereas, you know, if you were to get agents which are good at selling properties but don't know that sort of angle, and sending stuff your way, then different things, isn't it?
100%. And I've always said when I'm speaking to people that are just starting out, it swings and roundabouts, and it's almost like you need to get to know a variety of agents in your area and then sift through who are going to be the most useful and who are used to dealing with investors, because not all of them are that interested. Some of them might have had bad experiences with investors, you know, they've let them down, or they're just constantly chancers and putting silly offers in. So it's just, and you don't need, once you've kind of got a few good relationships with the stage, you don't need to have loads of people calling you, obviously depending on how many deals you want. I mean, we're quite happy with 2 or 3 a year, so it doesn't need to be that I'm a full-time job trying to keep up with the agents. It's just a few phone calls to go, oh, what have you got for us? And they know our criteria, and generally we're the first ones that they will call. Not all the time, and you do have to keep up with the communication, otherwise, you know, don't expect them to phone you if you go off their radar. But yeah,
Sounds like you've got good agents then.
well, yes, I mean, we source in a reasonably small area, I guess. I mean, we've got a couple of towns that we source in, both with a population of approximately 50,000 in, so there's approximately 15 agents in both towns, so just keeping up with a couple. But yeah, we've bought property off them. We've done as we said. We turn up to viewings. If they say there's a deal, you know, we're there the next day to look at it, so they know that we're reliable, and people that they can call on. Yeah, they're not all like that. Trust me. You can have a really good conversation with an agent, and you can say exactly what your criteria is. You can go and look at a property, you can offer on it, it can be perfect, and then somebody pips you at the post and you say to them, please can you, my daughter's,
maybe they want to join the conversation.
no, it's my daughter's friend trying to FaceTime her, but it keeps ringing on my laptop. Yeah, and you can say to them, please can you call me when this deal, if this deal falls through. But some of them won't. Some of you, you know, you've long forgotten by the time the deal falls through in 4 weeks' time. So that's where you've got to keep following up, because they won't all remember you. If it's, put it in your follow-up system, have a follow-up system that if you've offered on that, then you can just see how it's getting on, particularly if it's a good deal.
Yeah,
That's got some quite good deals as well.
fantastic. And I think Daniel mentioned about going direct to vendor, and you've gone, well, I'll get my through estate agents, and I have a relationship, which is also a different way, and a fantastic. Doug, where would you say you got most of your deals from over the years?
Well, Louise is spot on there, really. It's about building your relationship with an estate agent, and for them to understand exactly what it is you're looking for. Some of my best deals have come through estate agents. Back in 2002, I set up a business called Move On Now Limited, which is a chain breaking business. I spent quite a lot of money on printing. I printed a lot of brochures detailing exactly how my business worked. And then I would contact estate agents, make an appointment to go to see them, hand them one of my brochures and explain how the system works. So you're an estate agent, you have a number of sales going through. Nightmare, the first time buyer at the bottom of the chain can't get their mortgage, the whole chain falls apart. What do? You have to find another first time buyer to take their place. Supposing there was a company that offered a chain breaking service whereby they stepped in and bought that property. If there's a number of people in the chain, it's not difficult to ask each of the individual seller to contribute towards a discount in order for that chain breaking company to step in and purchase the property at the bottom. That's in brief, that's what I was offering. And subsequently, it opened the door for me to have a conversation with estate agents, whereby there's some form of relationship, some form of trust established. That system worked, but not that brilliantly, to be honest with you. I didn't receive that many inquiries. I did a few, but what it did do is open the door to get into estate agents and start to build relationships. But in the main, I found it's the independent guys that you need to be talking to. The corporates, their hands are tied. You know, they can't actually deal directly with an investor without going through their compliance issues. But certainly building a relationship with an independent agent works really well. And I would say that the best place to start to build a relationship is not in their office. You need to get them out of the office and sit in a coffee shop and have a conversation with them to start to build that rapport and that relationship, and help them to understand how you will help them to achieve more sales, subsequently to achieve more commission. And quite often I've shown where I can purchase a property from an agent, turn it round and take it back to the agent for another sale. So they get 2 bites of the cherry, or possibly take it back to the agent and allow them to find me tenants. So they're involved with my business ongoingly.
Fantastic. No, fantastic. And it is very ethical as well in terms of giving the business back to the agent and building that rapport back and forth. And I agree with Doug what he was saying about building that relationship of independence. It's much easier, and you'll find that the independent, you want to speak to the business owner, of course, and that business owner is probably going to be there first thing in the morning or after the team have gone home, because I'm the same in our business as the estate agency business. I'm probably the first one here in the morning, and I'd have things to do once they've gone. And people do come in after hours to have a conversation about, oh, they'd like to sell their property or this. There's a lot more time. They're not dealing with maybe the estate agent who's the junior who's just started on the front desk, who will always see them during the day, because of course I'm going to try and protect my time as the business owner to concentrate on bigger things. Not to say that their business is not valid, but that's why you have a team of people, of course. We look at, if you're ill, would you agree you go to the dentist? Sorry, you go to a doctor. Yeah? Or if you've got toothache, you go to the dentist, right? So we have to become known as the go-to person that's going to buy the property in a local area. And that takes time. So you have to have that reputation, as Louise indicated, about seeing the deal through. But people will send people to you, as they have done to us, because they say, or they'll walk in and they'll say, oh, I know you buy properties. Now, how do they know that? Is because, like Doug said, we've been marketing, or we've been leafleting, or we've been doing various things to tell them that we are in the business of buying properties. So we have but similar to what Doug was saying, we have a company called Speedy House Buyers, and Speedy House Buyers buys houses, flats, anything to help people when they've got either divorce or separation or being repossessed or anything, and that's separate to the estate agency business, and it's a service that we provide. So we can go to somebody and say, yes, you can put it on the open market, it could take this length of time, or we can provide you with an offer at this rate, and you can give them certain options. But you have to get to the point where people know that you're the go-to person to buy property. Would you agree with that, Doug, and Louise, or anybody else that wants to come in there? Imran, you had your hand raised earlier. I don't know if you're back with us or.
Yeah,
I completely, sorry,
Yeah.
Louise, very quickly. I completely agree, Sunil. At the end of the day, it is business. So if we help them, then hopefully they would return the favor. At the end of the day, Doug earlier on was talking about motivated sellers, but in business, we always have to look for motivation, the motivations of each and every party involved. And in this case, we're looking at, or we're talking about estate agents. So it's very important to understand what their motivations are. And there is a difference if you're speaking to the business owner of an estate agency such as yourself, Sunil, or perhaps one is speaking to a junior member of staff who's just started off on a basic wage, but on a high comp, to try and understand what their motivations are, what their targets are, how are they paid, how are they measured, right? So it's all about trying to understand what their motivations are and then seeing if those align with something that you can actually help them with. What they need to understand from you is, are you a genuine buyer? Do you have funds available? Or do you have the ability to make funds available? If you did make an offer, are you true to your word? Can you perform? So it kind of works both ways. If you are a good buyer, agents will call you. So I certainly don't seem to have a problem with chasing deals. In fact, I missed out on an opportunity 4.5 weeks ago, because from a numbers perspective, apparently we weren't where the buyer wanted us to be. And sometimes these agents do play that game about confidentiality and they never share the other offers, which is fine. I mean, I can kind of understand why they try and play that game, but sometimes it does bite them in the backside. And certainly in this case, it has bitten them in the backside, because the other offer, I'm fairly sure, was a completely unrealistic offer. And I did say to them 4.5 weeks ago that if this deal falls through, give me a call. And guess what? I got that call this morning. So put your name out there. Make sure you build those relationships with the agents, like Louise said. And sometimes, certainly with the ethical, professional agents who have a long-term plan to stay in the profession, they still have the traditional values of building a reputation, in which case, most definitely you can build a relationship. But let it be known, with the newer crop of agents, there is so much churn in the industry. So don't really peg all your hopes on building a relationship, because there's a very good chance you will be let down, because fundamentally speaking, that person won't be in their role for too long.
Fantastic, Imran. Thank you. Whilst you were talking, could you just do a 60-second introduction? Because we've known each other for a couple of years, but I think it's the first time you've spoken here. So for the people that don't know you, maybe.
Of course. So very quickly, I'm based in London. I've been a buy-to-let business owner, buy-to-let passive investor since 2001. Professionally, I'm an IT consultant and a go-to-market business leader, but I retired from IT in 2019, and I effectively professionalized my property business back then. So now I do buy-to-lets, HMOs, and I do ground-up land development. So I have a few opportunities that I've already secured in terms of sites that are going through planning, and I have another one that I'm lining up as we speak that comes with planning, and these are residential developments. Back to you.
Brilliant, thank you. Really appreciate you introducing yourself and your comments earlier about estate agents and how to build up rapport. For those of you who just joined us, Doug summarised earlier about adding value to others, and I absolutely love that, adding value to others, not the property. So he sees it as a property business, as that. Most of us, including myself, have been in the property business. Tonight, I think that could have changed, although I'm very people focused in my nature anyway, but I think it's taken to the next stage. Louise, have you you've just moved off my screen somewhere, but you were going to come in earlier. I think Imran came in just before you, but did you want to pick up on anything there?
No, I agree with Imran. And the point there that you said, like Doug said earlier, in having that sort of win-win scenario and that ethical, and how can you help somebody will always help you to secure a deal when you're thinking of them and their circumstances. So if you're talking to an agent, or certainly when I'm talking to an agent, I'm trying to get, so I'm not every agent will know the circumstances and the ins and outs of that family. But one example, we bought a property a few years ago, and there'd been a lot of interest in this property. And we viewed it, and there was so much stuff in there. Like this lady had gone into a home, but her like lifelong belongings were in this home, and it was absolutely rammed to the rafters. It was only a small 2 up, 2 down grade 2 listed cottage. But my goodness, she had so much stuff in there. And her son had to sell this property to pay for her care home fees, etc. But he just wanted it gone. He had several businesses that he was trying to run a couple of 100 miles away, and he just didn't want the hassle of it. So we looked at it. Okay, so that's his scenario. So what if we offered, as well as clearing the house for you, and you literally don't have to come back? And our offer was accepted, which was much lower than anyone else's. But he was like, yep, that takes the hassle out of it, you know, sold. And so it's just really getting to the bottom of that vendor's circumstances. If you can, obviously, if you're direct to vendor, that's much easier to do. But if you have conversations with the right estate agents, and if they're doing their job right, as you will know, Sunil, you should know some of the circumstances, and you may not be able to share all the personal reasons, but sometimes an estate agent can give you a bit of a nod and a helping hand, so that, you know, it's a win-win scenario for everyone.
Yeah, no, fantastic, Louise. What you're saying there in terms of solving the problem. Sometimes it's the smallest of things that will stop somebody moving forward. You know, from a tenant point of view, we've had people who weren't able to take a property because the washing machine, you know, they couldn't fit the washing machine in or something, or it needed plumbing, and they're going, oh yeah, you know, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Or people have, you know, sort of, as you said, they want, if it's a probate or something, they just want to move away and close that chapter, and they don't want to be the one clearing up everything that's there. So in that, you know, it's great what you said there, Louise, is that it's better just to take their problem away, finding out what their problem is, taking it away from them. And it's not always about the money. There's a lot of other things there as well. So fantastic. So yeah, thank you. Kundan, good evening. I see you've joined us.
Good evening. Apologies, I joined a bit late, but I was kind of listening. I started at 6:30, then I had to go around and then come back. Thanks for having me. I've been listening quite intently, and what Doug mentioned, I think, is quite sensible. Funny enough, in all the deals that I'm buying at the moment, barely ever use a sourcing agent. And for some reason, if you have this is my personal observation, okay? If you are connected to your local market, if you know the right people in the market, okay, in your local space, wherever you're operating, chances are the deals will keep flowing to you. You won't have to do it. Like just yesterday, I had a block of 8 flats in Mainstream that's just come to me. Just because I happen to know the estate agent so well for the last 7-8 years, I know these guys. He moved around from Simon Miller to, I think, another firm, to another firm, and then he started his own. So I ended up getting a call from him saying, hey, got this block of flats, it's condemned. Would you be interested? I said, why did you think of me? He said, you're the first person I thought of when I got the seller. Now, if you think about it, if you have a proven track record of buying from the local agents, the word spreads very quickly. People know that you would come good on your promise. So deals will automatically come to you. So success breeds success, I think, Sunil. That's my point of view.
Yeah, brilliant. And Kundan, for those people that don't know you, could you just tell us where you're based and
my
what your
background is not very unlike Imran's. My historically, I've done IT in banking and financial services for best part of 2 decades. I was working at HSBC up until last year. So Imran is my senior in the sense he quit his day job a couple of years before I did. But I quit my day job, in 2022. I've been active investor, and then for the last 7-8 years, we have started growing our portfolio. And now my background is essentially, or what I specialize in, is HMOs. What we really do is take an HMO from start to finish, acquisition to complete full works done and remortgage within 12 to 14 weeks, typically sometimes 16 weeks at best. And so we do back-to-back projects. We used to one at a time back in the days, sort of pre-pandemic, and when pandemic hit, I started buying 2 at a time, 3 at a time, and then now 6 at a time. So that's my background essentially.
Fantastic. Kunda, while you're here, could I just make sure, did Elliot email you today a property?
I didn't get anything, Sunil. You might want to resend that, please.
Okay. Yeah. It's
Talking of deals coming through, here is one live example, right? Sunil and I are talking about something that potentially might work for us, and we're just having a chat about it. That's because Sunil hopefully realizes that if we are able to come good on the first deal with him, he'd be able to provide us more deals coming through, or if we could work together in the future. So just getting the point again. It is less to do with how you approach, but it's more to do with proving your point, proving that you actually are not there to waste people's time. Estate agents especially are very, very sensitive to that, because they get a lot of tag kickers that have no chance in hell of buying property. So yeah. Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll make sure that it comes across to you tomorrow, and then
thank you so much.
You can have a look. Yeah. And I know for other people it's not in their area, so but we can still send out. So if you're looking for HMO properties, then yeah, get in contact with me for tomorrow, and we'll send you details of stuff that we've got on our books at the moment. Anything else on finding deals and working with estate agents? I mean, I was on Clubhouse this morning at 7:30, and Gav was talking about, he was a gentleman that came on this morning for an interview, and he was saying about how to deal with estate agents, about how he provides the idea and the solicitor all at the same time, all in one email right at the beginning with his offer. And yeah, at the end of the day, everyone is busy, and if we can get all that information, and as Louise was indicating earlier, is about solving people's problems. And often it's not about if they get the offer, if an agent gets an offer at the same price or very similar, what that agent's looking to do is sell that to his vendor by saying, I've got this offer and I've got all the information with the offer. We're waiting on another transaction that we're selling out some land, and as I was saying, that 10 days down the road we're still waiting for solicitor's details. So although they were very quick to make the offer and very keen, 10 days later, when we don't have the solicitor's details, we're wondering what's going on. And of course we haven't taken it off the market, so that credibility is created right at the beginning, because if we're dealing with agents and we're professional, then, and they've got everything, then they can move on quickly and on to their next deal where their next commission is coming from. And as Doug indicated earlier, in our local area in Sittingbourne, although we are an agent, other agents would, like wards and people, would come to us and say, oh, we know you buy properties, can you help? I think Doug educated them all in the area in terms of coming back and saying, we need somebody to fill this chain. And if you do it once or twice, they know that you are the person to go to. So it's getting to that stage where you are the one person that or a number of people they go to as the local person that buys property, and you are in a position to do so. So it's that reputation building. So it's not who do you know? It's who knows you, which is probably more important. And people do say, well, it's, you know, who do you know, and, you know, your net worth. And I think, I mean, it's put that, which is correct. Your net worth is your net work is your net worth, but it's actually the other way round in terms of, yeah, I'm getting the words mixed up there, but it's the other way round, is how many people actually know you. And with social media and that's a lot probably easier to do now, but it's delivering on those promises, as Louise has indicated before as well. Imran, if you want to come in there, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, just a very quick comment, Sunil. So we've never met in person. However, we've known each other on Clubhouse for the past 18 months, a couple of years, like you mentioned earlier on. And certainly on Clubhouse, and most definitely on Zoom as well, the more times we share our story, share what we're looking for, share who we are, share how we think, I'm fairly sure that the audience get a fairly reasonable idea of what we are like, not just as business people, but certainly also perhaps as people. So as a result of that, and I'm sharing this because I do probably anticipate that there are some newbies on here who are trying to get into the market. So certainly on Clubhouse, over the last 6 months, a couple of fairly experienced property business people, such as myself, they've reached out to me for potential JVs. So I have my own business, which I do. But of course, if there are opportunities where we can JV with like-minded people to combine our pool of capital pots to try and tackle or target a different type of opportunity, which perhaps I wouldn't have realized by myself, then by all means, I'm open to those opportunities. So just by having a chat with people on Clubhouse on a regular basis, it's amazing how relationships can develop into business relationships. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if it's Clubhouse, if it's social media, if it's Zoom, it's all those touch points where we get to know somebody and then we trust them, and then, you know, we are able to help or do business with people. You know, I go back to this evening, and I'm not just saying this, Doug, but I've known you for a period of time, and you've come to some of our meetings, and I think we met at some of the other PIN meetings and things like that. But it's probably taken this evening for what the 3 or 4 words that you said, and I had knowing your business, I have a lot of respect for what you'd achieved in your business, but today it's a respect in your ethics of how you do business, which is different. So yes, Imran, well, we have to spend the time with people on a regular basis to get to know them. I mean, you know, I can also say, for example, Louise, we met at PIN meetings, but over time, although we haven't always kept in contact because of COVID and things happen, you know, we could both pick up the phone to see if there's anything going on, or, you know, you jumped on a Clubhouse the other week and just shared your story, which was fantastic and lots of great value. So yeah, it's about working together. We want to share the knowledge, and that's the reason why we have these free Zoom meetings, to say, let's share the knowledge and get together in the room once a month. And by the time we finish probably in the room, we don't actually make any profit from that. It's just a case of, Imran, it may lead to joint ventures, it may lead to something, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. We gain a lot of knowledge, but we do gain some business from it as well. But there's, yeah, the evenings themselves don't make anything. So Kundan, if you want to come in, sorry, I was just sharing my thoughts and my feelings there, but you know, come in, mate.
Yeah, just a quick one. I just wanted to ask Doug something. I remember this is going back in the day when I was still relatively new to doing large scales of projects. At the time, I was following a lot of stuff that Doug used to do. This is going back 2014. Doug used to do a lot of options, lead options at the time. You also did stuff around that, no? If I remember correctly. What happened to that business? Did that not go forward? The stuff?
Hang on a minute. Sorry, hang on a minute. I'm trying to get my unmuted.
You're unmuted, Doug.
Am
Yes,
I
we
unmuted?
can hear you.
Oh,
You're
Good, sorry.
unmuted all the time, mate.
oh, sorry, I didn't realise.
That's all right, no problem.
I didn't quite catch all of that. You said something about options. What was the other?
I'll just repeat that very briefly. So I remember back in 2012, 2013, 2014, you were doing a lot of lease option stuff at the time. And you were very, very active in meetings at the time, doing selling courses and stuff and doing lease options. What happened to that? And has lease options been, I don't see a lot of people talking about lease options anymore that people used to 5-6 years ago. What happened to all of that lease option stuff?
Kundan is going to speak about it at our next meeting. You'll have to come. He's going to.
I am going to be sharing some of those insider secrets at Sunil's next meeting. But to be honest with you, I've never done a lease option. My business model since 2000, and I think which you alluded to, 2012, around 2010 actually, has been assisted sale agreements and installment contracts.
Assisted sales and installment contracts. Yeah, that was the other bit I was going to come to.
Yeah. So using assisted sale agreements on the back of an installment contract basically enables you to control a property, either purchasing with a mortgage or controlling it whilst it sits in third-party ownership. And then you can virtually do a back-to-back transaction to a motivated buyer as opposed to a motivated seller on an installment contract whereby you would agree to sell the property to somebody with a small deposit plus monthly installments. That was my business plan, and that, to be honest with you, since 2010 has enabled me to grow my business massively. So I'm still involved in very much in that business, but I've not been very public and I haven't been networking very much for the last maybe 5 or 6 years. I've only just really come out in the last maybe the last 12 months starting to network again. And Sunil made a good point there about building relationships and adding value to other people's lives, whereby Sunil adds values to all of our lives by putting on these events and bringing in some expert speakers and sharing knowledge and skills. And I would say in the last month or last 6 weeks, I have instructed Sunil's company on 3 bits of business, and 2 of those he's actually found me, or Elliot, who works for him, has found 2 buyers for me on 3 instructions. So if I hadn't have opened up and come out to these meetings and spent time with Sunil, I would be instructing other companies like Wolds and the likes. You know, it's proven that you add value to somebody's life, you build some rapport, build a relationship, and we all get our rewards from doing that. Very much like social media, in order to transact or to get to work with somebody on social media, the first thing is they need to know you, like you, and trust you. Until you've done those 3 steps, you don't stand much of a chance, really. So it's the same with a motivated buyer or a motivated seller. As soon as they know you, like you, and trust you, it then becomes a people business. You know, you're building relationships, building rapport. People do business with people. It's not necessarily just about the property.
No, absolutely, and thank you for your kind words. And Doug had come to some of the meetings, and he came along and he was like observing, and he, you know, sort of took a lot in. And before he approached us, and I know he did call me once, and then I hadn't picked up the message and didn't call him back, but he gave me a second chance, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, it's building the relationships. But he did look at things before he sort of move forward. So I think that's the nature of people anyway, is that rather than just jumping in, we do sit back and we observe and how things are going. So people are looking at what I do, what you do, what everybody does, to see, are they a potential partner? Are they going to be, what type of person are they? Would I want to work with them? I've even had people come to me and say, oh, who would you work with if you were looking for a joint venture partner? And that is a very clever question, because they're looking for a partner, but they're getting references from the network within Kent to wherever we operate to see who they would work with. So yeah, very clever about how they've done their market research. So Nembi, how are you doing? You've got your hand raised there, so did you want to unmute? And thanks for coming in this evening.
No, cheers, Sunil, and thanks again for putting this together. Hey, everyone. So I guess I had a quick question. So I know marketing and the marketing itself was mentioned. I guess my question is, what's the best way to kind of market yourself online? So I know, like, when you're looking for good deals and for motivated sellers, yes, going to estate agents and build relationships, I appreciate that is important. But when you take it off that, you know, and you're actually online, what's the best way to position yourself? I mean, I recently set up an Instagram account where I'm like documenting my property journey, but I guess it'd be good, but I'm quite new to it in terms of that. So it'd be good to just get some insight in terms of the best way to approach that.
Anybody want to come in on that question before I do?
Daniel's the man.
Daniel?
I'm no expert, but I just like networking, hearing people's stories, obviously going out, meeting agents and creating the connections there. I didn't disagree with the point earlier about you know, the connection with the agents. I just said sometimes they're a bit temperamental with what you get sent over, so having that in combination to the, you know, the additional stuff, you know, having as much as possible. But funnily enough, with my Instagram, although my Instagram is relatively new, I have people, you know, contact me directly, reach out and actually want me to source some, you know, land and a few bits and bobs from that, you know, just within, you know, just a matter of a couple of weeks of actually setting it up, you know, just sharing what I do, meeting who I meet. So yeah, no expert on the social side, but I've had people reach out to me from that, in addition to the other stuff I'm doing.
Brilliant. Well done, Daniel. I think it's a fantastic question. And what I would say to you is, visibility is credibility. And you're making yourself visible, Nambi, by going to the property meetings in person, but you're also just sharing your journey and sharing your knowledge that you're gaining on Instagram and various other platforms. We have a fantastic opportunity that wasn't there previously, where so many of these platforms are free, like TikTok, like Instagram, like Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of those are free. And it's just putting your message out there on different channels and picking 2 or 3, because I've got a TikTok that I've recently started, which is great. But there are some people will not be on TikTok, and it's amazing because Geeta, my wife, one of her friends said, oh, I see Sunil's doing some stuff, but she wasn't on TikTok. She was actually on LinkedIn. And that's where she spends because of her business and the professional, because she's a lecturer, she markets on LinkedIn. So you're going to get people from different places at different times. So you have to do the same information, maybe what you've put on Instagram, repackaging it and putting it on LinkedIn and things like that. It's just takes a lot of work, and Dan will probably tell you because he does a lot of social media. All of these events, the reason we're able to do these events is that he puts them out on social media on different platforms and different places so that people can get the opportunity to come and join. The other one for me has been Clubhouse, which I found Clubhouse very easy to use. And although it was an hour a day, it was an hour a day that was like that I'm either traveling to work or I've got up and I'm getting ready for work and I'm listening or I'm contributing in between, getting ready to come to the office. This morning was no exception, where the first 10-15 minutes I was finishing off getting ready for work, and then I live about a mile and a half, so I walked to work listening into the conversation. I was able to contribute as and when I needed to. There are some days, like on a Tuesday, if I'm hosting the room, then I make sure I'm at the office at 7:30 so I can give my full attention to the whole hour. That not to say that I'm not giving the full attention to the other times, but there is somebody else there that will take that on as well. So getting involved, and you do get involved with all of the various things. So just keep going, just keep doing what you're doing. Get more on Instagram, just share your journey, because I think it's fantastic. Sometimes people can't relate to other people because they think, well, you started at a very different time to now, and you're starting and people can relate. And as I said many a time recently, is not the bigger projects, it's not what we're doing today, or somebody like Kundan who's doing 6 or 7 projects in one go, which is absolutely inspirational. But it's the first project that we ever buy and the first property we ever buy, because that first property gives us the belief to get on and to the property ladder. And once you're on the ladder, then things start happening. So if you've not bought your first property, that is the priority. Second priority is don't work for somebody else. Get enough income to get your partner out of work as well as yourself, because then you've got 100% of your time being spent on creating wealth for yourself. And I don't know if you know my story, but I was worked on a motorway services as an operations manager, and fantastic in terms of the salary and the way they took care of us. But at the end of the day, I was making money for them. And the first year that I left them, I made more money in that 1 year than I did in the previous 10 years. And then I think, well, why did I work for them for so long? Yes, I needed a career so I could get mortgages, but I could have probably left it 5 years and then left sooner. But I have no regrets because it taught me a lot as well. So number one is get onto the property ladder, and number two is get out of work and get into property full time. So I'll pass over to Kundan because I think we're coming up to 8 o'clock when we're going to be closing. But Kundan, anything that you want to add?
I was just going to say on a lighter note, working at a motorway service station is not that bad a thing. Think of what Mohsin and Zubair Isa did. The Isa brothers, I'm sure people would know or recollect, the owners of Asda, the EG group owners. They were working at a motorway petrol pump for back in 2001, 2002. They were wiping toilets, the two brothers, and running night shifts. So there is every possibility. Right now they're talking of an $8 billion takeover of Subway. So that's a whole different ballgame. But if you dare to dream, you will succeed. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
No, absolutely. And the great thing with a motorway service operation was that they have services across the country, and they needed somebody to move with. Every year I got a different location, and the reason I took that location is because they paid a relocation package, which was solicitor's fees to buy a property, which was legal fees paid, stamp duty paid, and all of those things. And that's why we ended up with a portfolio across different parts of the country, because I moved from Stoke-on-Trent to Reading, and we brought a couple there, etc., etc. So it served its purpose at the time. But I think that now looking back, I wish I'd worked for myself. Although I was working part-time on my business and full-time for an employer, now it's more about, every day is about creating wealth for the longer term and not for somebody else. So, yeah.
In case anybody has a petrol station in Stoke, please let me know. I'm available.
Will do. I will look out for that. And so it's just coming up to 8 o'clock. So I just want to say thank you for everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you for your questions. Louise, Doug, Imran, Kundan, and Amit, Nivi, thank you for your questions and your contributions. It's, makes the evening go by really, really good. Lots of great tips. And thank you, Paul, as well, for your question earlier, which is, sort of gone forward. We can get speakers in to come in. We have found that getting a speaker is sometimes good, but then it's focused on there. And then people don't get the opportunity to have a mastermind and have questions answered that may be specific to them. And we don't get them to share knowledge with each other. So we are going to mix and match it if that's what you guys want. But I really enjoy the questions and answers, as well as getting a speaker once in a while. But some of the speakers have been there, and we hear them quite on a regular basis. Imran, you asked me about the events that are coming up. Dan has put the WhatsApp group in there. The WhatsApp group is now at something like 299 people. Lots of activities there on a daily basis. And you can also ask questions there. And Dan will then promote any events either in person, or if it's the Discovery Day, which like we had on Saturday, we went around about 5 or 6 of our projects. Or if it's the free Zoom meetings, it's all on there as well. So there's the WhatsApp group, again, like this evening, is free. So just use the link, join up, and feel free to introduce yourself and contribute. So, yeah, anything anybody wants to add before we close? Doug, anything from you, Louise? Anything?
Yeah, I'd like to add 2 words of wisdom. Add value.
Please. Excellent. Add value.
Add value.
I've got a piece of paper and I've written that down, add value to others. Yeah. And that's what I've written this morning and this evening, because I've got a lot out of this evening, and I'm, sort of hope you can feel the excitement, because it's about adding value to others. And if you take nothing away from this evening, we've not actually spoken about property in great detail. It is about adding in value to other people. You can learn the property strategies, but it's about the mindset, which is going to be far, far more important. So, yeah, thank you, Doug. Louise?
Yeah, thank you, Sunil. It's been a great meeting, and I 100% agree. If you're adding value and you're putting your all and helping other people, then, I'm sure somewhere along the line, the universe repays you in leaps and bounds. So, yeah.
No, great to see you, Louise. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Sunil.
And you. Daniel, did you want to come in before Kundan or anybody else?
To quote Doug, it's not a property business, it's a people business.
Excellent. Thank you. Kundan?
Nothing else. I'll open a Pandora's box for the next meeting, and this is for them to address. There's been a lot of news that installment contracts are actually illegal, and they've been struck down by the High Court in the last few years. So would love to hear Doug's story, not now, but when we do the next meeting in person, probably to address what is legal and what is not legal in installment contracts.
Yes, so Doug's going to do some training. He's sort of saying in the last meeting, so that's great. We just need to arrange a date, and Dan's going to Dan will contact you tomorrow, and then we can arrange a date. But because I know you can't do the Wednesdays that we normally do. So yeah, thank you everyone, and we look forward to seeing you either in person or on social media somewhere very, very soon. Take care. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks,
everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.